LA County prosecutors are laying out their case against the man charged in the killing of Grammy award-winning rapper Nipsey Hussle. During opening statements, they told the jury the shooting was premeditated, but as Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes explains, the defense attorney telling the court a different story.
People are walking up across Crenshaw, bringing flowers, balloons, anything they have to pay tribute to this man who, in many, many ways, was an icon in this community.
The man convicted of killing Nipsey Hussle has been sentenced to 60 years to life in prison. The LA Superior Court judge handed down the ruling this afternoon. Last summer, a jury found Eric Holder Jr. guilty of first-degree murder.
Nearly 4 years after the fatal shooting of the rapper Nipsey Hussle, a proudly local Los Angeles artist whose killing reverberated far beyond the world of West Coast hip-hop, the gunman Eric R. Holder Jr. was sentenced to 60 years to life in prison. Hussle, whose real name was Ermias Asghedam, was shot and killed on March 31st, 2019, outside a clothing store he owned in South Los Angeles, with the police soon attributing the attack to a personal dispute. 2 days after the shooting, in which 2 bystanders were wounded, Holder, then 29, turned himself in at a mental health clinic, his lawyer said at trial. The hitman was then charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and possession of a firearm by a felon. He pleaded not guilty and was held in lieu of $6.5 million bail. At trial, Los Angeles County prosecutors argued that Holder and Hussle, 2 old acquaintances who belonged to the same street gang, had a chance encounter in a strip mall parking lot, during which the rapper mentioned neighborhood rumors that Holder had cooperated with law enforcement. Minutes later, prosecutors and witnesses said Holder returned with 2 handguns and began firing repeatedly. Prosecutors argued that the killing was premeditated and charged the assailant with first-degree murder. During the trial, Aaron Jansen, a public defender representing Holder, acknowledged that his client pulled the trigger, but he argued that the crime occurred in the heat of passion and that Holder should have been charged with voluntary manslaughter. After meeting for less than an hour on a second day of deliberations, the jurors found Holder guilty of first-degree murder, indicating that they agreed with prosecutors that the hitman decided to kill Hussle as he returned to a car, loaded a gun, took a few bites of fries, and then marched back through the parking lot to confront the rapper. Holder was also found guilty of 2 counts of attempted voluntary manslaughter, stemming from the 2 bystanders who were wounded, lesser charges than the attempted murder counts prosecutors had brought. His lawyer had argued that the case was overcharged and that his client had no specific intention of harming either of the other 2 men, both of whom were strangers to him when he attacked Hussle. In addition, Holder was found guilty of possessing a firearm as a felon and 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. In court, Holder stared forward, unflinching. He wore a dark navy suit and white sneakers. There was no sound in the courtroom as the verdict was announced, no reaction from the half-full gallery. But just who was Nipsey, and what really transpired before his sudden death? A workmanlike rapper with underground credentials and an A-list network of supporters, Hussle was more than 15 years into his music career when he released his proper debut album in 2018. Before the Grammy-nominated Victory Lap, Hussle had built a career that was richer in industry respect and goodwill than hit records, though he collaborated widely with artists like Snoop Dogg, Drake, and Rick Ross. Known for his independent business ethos and novel marketing ideas, like the limited edition $100 mixtape Crenshaw, Hussle had partnered near the end of his life with Jay-Z's Rock Nation management company, as he eyed a move toward the mainstream. A self-proclaimed member of the Rollin' 60s Crips, Hussle had also made a name for himself as a community ambassador and an entrepreneur in his South Los Angeles neighborhood. While seeking to stem gang violence in the area, he preached Black empowerment through business ownership, reinvesting his earnings as a musician in the place where he grew up. With a group of backers, Hussle had bought the strip mall at the corner of Crenshaw Boulevard and Slauson Avenue that housed his Marathon clothing store, while also helping to open a nearby co-working space dedicated to increasing diversity in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. At the same time, even as Hussle was praised after his death as an inspirational neighborhood fixture and a peacemaker, his properties were the subject of a long-standing investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department and the city attorney's office, which considered the area a Rollin' 60s gang stronghold. Some 20,000 people attended Hussle's public memorial at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, where a statement from former President Obama highlighted the rapper's life as a legacy worth celebrating. So, what happened on the day of the shooting? That Sunday afternoon, according to court testimony, Hussle arrived at the shopping plaza for an unannounced visit, as he often did. While catching up with friends and employees in the parking lot in front of his Marathon store, the rapper spent about half an hour signing autographs and posing for photos with fans. At the same time, a woman Holder was casually dating was driving him around the area just to hang out, the woman testified. The woman, whose identity was initially kept secret to protect her from threats and harassment, was identified at trial as Brianita Nicholson. As they stopped to get something to eat, Brianita noticed Hussle outside the store and remarked in passing that he looked handsome, she said. Holder did not indicate that he knew the rapper, but approached him for a brief conversation after ordering chili cheese fries at a nearby burger place while his girlfriend waited in the car. The brief conversation between the two men was casual and low-key, according to witness testimony, but included Hussle telling Holder that there were rumors going around that he had cooperated with law enforcement or snitched. Hussle encouraged Holder to get the paperwork, showing he had not in order to clear things up. John McKinney, the Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney, said, "It just seemed like a regular conversation," McKinney told the jury, but obviously it wasn't. As the men finished speaking, Brianita approached Hussle for a selfie, which she soon posted to Facebook, she testified. Asked if she sensed that a fight was about to occur, Brianita said, "No, I wasn't afraid at all." Upon returning to the car, Holder told her to pull into another nearby parking lot so he could eat his fries, she said. She saw him loading a 9mm pistol, she testified, and after taking a few bites of his food, he walked back toward Hussle's store. According to witnesses, Holder confronted the rapper and said, "You're through," as he opened fire with a gun in each hand, hitting Hussle at least 10 times and then kicking him twice in the head. "You got me," Hussle said, according to the prosecutor. Two other men, Kerry Lathan and Shermy Villanueva, were wounded by the gunfire. Recognized in the neighborhood as another member of the Rollin 60s Crips, Holder was better known by his nickname, a descriptive epithet. Surveillance footage captured the shooting in addition to the car he used to flee the scene, and the police soon publicized the information. Upon seeing her vehicle on the news, Brianita submitted to a 5-hour interview with police officers, along with searches of her car and her mother's home, where Holder had spent the night of the shooting before moving to hide out at a Motel 6. The terrified girlfriend testified that she had heard the gunshots, but was confused about what had occurred until she saw coverage of Hussle's death online. When Holder first returned to the car, she recalled during grand jury testimony in 2019, he's like, drive before I slap you." She declined to press him on the specifics of what happened out of fear, she said. That Tuesday, 2 days after the shooting, Holder was arrested without incident in Bellflower, California. The murder weapons were never found. Brianita later agreed to immunity from prosecution in exchange for her testimony at trial. Holder was originally represented by Chris Darden, a lawyer perhaps best known as one of the prosecutors in the 1995 trial of O.J. Simpson. But Darden soon withdrew from the case, citing death threats against his family. Instead, Holder was represented at trial by Jansen, the public defender, who did not dispute that his client was the shooter but argued instead that the case was overcharged. Jansen said in court that Holder was so enraged over the allegations of snitching that he returned 9 minutes later without thinking and began shooting without premeditation. He argued that instead of first-degree premeditated murder, Holder should have been charged with voluntary manslaughter because he acted in the heat of passion. He added that his client had no intent to harm Lathan and Villanueva and therefore should not have been charged with attempted murder. In the end, Holder faces life in prison. In addition to being the agreed-upon motive in the shooting of Hussle, the concept of snitching and its outsized importance in gang culture affected court testimony in the case as well. While multiple witnesses identified Holder as the shooter, others declined to detail their recollections of the episode on the stand. One witness failed to appear, with lawyers on both sides citing a reluctance to testify for fear of retribution. Even one of the victims of the shooting appeared reticent at the trial. Lathan, who was wounded, declined to identify Holder as the shooter while on the stand. "I don't know nothing, don't see nothing," he said, according to news reports. "You don't want to testify about what happened?" a prosecutor asked. "That's right," Lathan said. Cedric Washington, a Los Angeles police detective, said the problem was common, even outside gang cases. "I found that a majority of people are reluctant to come to court or talk to law enforcement," he said on the stand. Everybody seems to think that from coming to court, they are going to be subject to retaliation. On February 22, 2023, nearly 4 years after the shooting, a judge sentenced Holder to 60 years to life in prison. The accused received 25 years to life on the murder count, 25 years to life because a gun was used, and 10 years for shooting Lathan in Villanueva, according to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. Do you agree that this was a fair charge? Let us know in the comment section below. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.